Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to query it. So the first thing is, let's create a school. So we'll say school equals await school dot create, and school only has like a name, so MLK elementary, and then we got that, and the next thing is going to create a student. So we'll say a student equals await student dot create, and a student has a first name that's required and a school that's required. It's the only required thing, so I'll do that. First name is Trisha, and school is, so remember, if we go back to look at school, its type is going to be mongoose.schema.types.object.id. Where did we get that ID? Well, we already created a school, and we know if we create something in Mongo, we get an ID property back. So we'll just use school.id here. Or better yet, just to be explicit, school._ID. And we're going to talk about the differences between the .id and _ID, but the short answer is virtualization. You're going to be doing virtualization later on in the course. But to be explicit, you can just use _ID. So now I saved the student with the school. And then now if I were to query the student later on in the application and I want to get the school for it, the way I would do that is I would say await students, or I'm sorry, capital student dot find by ID. So use ID here because I already have an ID. Student dot ID. And then instead of doing an exec right away, I'm going to use this handy method called populate. So this is why Mongoose is really cool. They have this thing called populate, which are basically like virtual join tables. So what populate's going to do, if I don't pass it any arguments, it's going to go look at the schema for the student. It's going to look at anything that has a type, object ID, and a reference to a collection, and it's going to go query the database for those and inject those values into the field itself. So instead of getting back a school field that's an ID, I'll get back a school field that is a school object. Right, so if I populate that, and then I run exec, I should get back a school, or a student with a school. So let's check that out. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking of like an older version of Mongoose. You do have to pass in the actual field here by default. So you got to pass in the school field here, and then it will go populate it. So sorry about that. So now if I run that again, you can see now it actually populated the school. There's an ID, and then there's the name of the school along with the other properties that I told you that really aren't that important. So that's how you would do associations and relationships in Mongo. So you set up the schema with the ref and the type of object ID. Required is up to you. And then you just have to call populate with the field that you want to populate. And then it will go fetch it for you if it finds it and attach it to that field. It'll basically hydrate it. It'll turn that ID into a full object instance if it finds it, and then you'll get it back.